Welcome back to the Sprouting Spoons virtual cooking class. I'm Jake, and we've been helping the OSU Master Gardeners in their Victory Garden, and they helped produce these lovely radishes that we're going to be using today. And although they're delicious, chopped up fresh in salads or just dipped in some delightful sauces, few people know that you can actually cook them really nicely. We're going to put them in a hash today, so we're going to cut up some potatoes and bacon and fry it all up, and it'll be just as delicious. For this recipe, we're going to be using 2 potatoes, 1/2 of an onion, 3 cloves of garlic, 2 strips of bacon, and of course a couple of our radishes. We're probably going to go with about 4 today because they're on the larger side. So for our onion, if you remember, we have the root end and the stem end. We're going to cut off the stem end completely, and then we're going to just nip the root end off and then slice straight up and down to give us half of our onion. We're going to then peel the outside layer off, and then following the ridge lines on it, we're going to go around. Then we're going to turn it slightly so that our first slices are going to be against the knife, and we're going to go up and down, and this will give us a rough dice. Then you put those off to the side, and we'll dice up our potatoes and radishes. For our potatoes, we're just going to make one big slice down so that we have a nice flat surface for it to sit on. You don't want it just to be rocking all over on you. Once you have the flat surface, you can go ahead and make about a 1/4 inch little slabs that we're going to then line up on each other, probably about too high or else they might start slipping around, and we're going to make these little French fry shapes. We're going to then turn our French fry shapes, as you can see this way, and put them together, and then chop them into little tiny cubes, like so. They don't have to be perfect, but you do want them to be about the same size, that way they all cook evenly. For our radish, we're going to just chop off the little root and chop off the top. We're going to set it up and down on that flat side, slice it in half one time, and then we're going to just give it a nice thin slice. For our garlic, we're going to take our clove that still has the paper on it, rest our knife on top, and give it a nice gentle squeeze. This will release the paper from it by crushing the garlic and allow us to get in there without taking too much extra effort by having to peel it. Sometimes it likes to stick though. Then, once you have them all peeled, we're just going to run our knife down and give it a nice rough chop. I like to leave these just a little bit larger for this recipe. Finally, we have 2 strips of bacon. We're going to cut these last because we don't want to have meat on our cutting board before we cut all of our veggies, just in case something doesn't make it in the pan and you end up eating something that might have touched the meat. So, like I said, just cut your meat last. That way it's all contained where it is. And so we have our 2 strips of bacon that we're just going to gently slice into little strips. Then it's going to be all into the frying pan. So we're going to heat up our pan over medium-low heat, and once it gets nice and warm, we're going to throw in our bacon and let that render down. Rendering is when all the fat starts to come out of it. Once that's all rendered, we're going to remove it from the pan. So after your bacon gets all nice and brown and crispy, we're going to take it out of the pan and just put it off to the side. We're going to keep the bacon grease in there though, because that's going to provide us with the fat for frying our potatoes. Once all the bacon has been removed from your pan, you can go ahead and add in your diced potato and radishes. You're going to look for that sizzle. You want to spread them out to a single layer on the pan, that way they can brown and crisp. You're going to want to keep it on a low heat, that way they don't cook too fast. If you notice that they're browning and not softening up on you because you diced them a little large, that's not a problem. Just go ahead and put a little lid on them. That steam will help cook them all the way through. So after a few minutes, you'll notice that the potatoes will start to brown on the bottom. And you'll want to give them a nice gentle turn every now and then. And then after about 8 minutes or so, maybe 10 depending on how low your heat is, you're going to notice that they're nice and brown all over, and you're going to add in the onions. At that point you can add in a little salt and pepper. That'll help the onions break down a little bit and it'll give everything some nice flavor. You're going to stir that in and wait until your onions start to brown too. So after your onions have become nice and translucent and have gained a little bit of browning on them, not too much, we're going to add in our garlic. And stir that around and wait for it to get fragrant, which will only take about 30 seconds or so. It'll hit you like a ton of bricks. And then we're going to add in our bacon that we took out earlier, just because everything tastes better with a little bit of bacon added, right? And just give that nice big stir. Probably turn off the heat and let the pan's residual heat just cook it just a moment longer. And we're going to take our nice plate here and put a little bit on. This is going to be a delightful little zesty take on your morning breakfast potatoes, or make a great side dish. I can only imagine serving it at the holidays. You could add a little Brussels sprouts or carrots. Anything like that would be great. You gotta make sure you get a radish though, because it's going to be still nice and zesty, but it's going to be toned down a little bit more mild than a usual one. Seconds. Well, thanks for watching, and make sure you hit like and subscribe to our videos. And also a big shout out again to the OSU Master Gardeners and their Victory Garden. Thanks again. Catch you next time.